As we get older, our hormones start to decline. At what once seemed like a raving Ferrari starts to become somewhat of a bent up and broken Volkswagen. So in order to prevent us from experiencing the broken down Beetle of the biological design, melatonin can really step in order to give us a refresher. You see, what melatonin does, it increases the release of gonadotropin-releasing hormone, which is a mediator that causes the release of another precursor sequence called luteinizing, as well as follicular-stimulating hormone. These two respective precursor hormones increase the release of androgen, progesterones, and as well as estrogens, allowing the body to be in a more optimal state of endocrine coherence. Subsequently, melatonin also has an impact given that there are specific melatonin receptors in the ovaries and testes, to not only does it potentiate the release of gonadotropin-releasing hormone, but it also potentiates the sensitivity of these areas to receive the subsequent precursor luteinizing and follicular-stimulating hormone effect, thus resulting into an ever-increased potential in the production of our hormone requirements. In addition to that, melatonin takes a step further. It actually modifies epithelial and endothelial thickness in the endometrium, and in thus doing so helps to address estrogen dominance, somewhat in reducing estrogen levels in certain cases, depending upon dosing in relation to how much melatonin a person wishes to take. I.e., high-dose melatonin can actually suppress high levels of estrogen. Now, this also takes into account for those who are looking to conceive and are looking to fall pregnant. The inclusion of high-dose melatonin might be somewhat contraindicated, and thus, if it is that you are looking to have a child, perhaps having a lower dose melatonin may be a safer route to go to support not only your sleep and circadian requirements, but also your immunological benefits. In addition to it supporting the endoepithelial lining, it also has an impact on the endometrium lining and thus supports progesterone and encourages the improved production and receipt of progesterone in the endometrial lining. There are most certainly estrogen receptors in breast tissues, and in certain cases, such as breast cancer, these receptors can somewhat lose their modulative sensitivity. And what melatonin does, it actually goes in and it helps to modulate these receptors, and thus as a beneficial effect in reducing the likelihood of oncogenesis in breast tissue. Overall, melatonin plays a good role in redefining and resetting our endocrine system, particularly as we get older, to a state of which we have more energetic integrity. But again, there are some considerations. One, for those women who are looking to fall pregnant or to conceive, pretty much warrant watching out for any of the high-dose melatonins. Try to avoid them. Not to say that you can't use. The lower-dose melatonins have actually shown positive effect in improving the likelihood of a conception. However, the higher dose is also shown to be somewhat of a contraception in its own right. Perhaps an alternative for those of you who are looking to come off of the conventional contraceptive paradigm. In addition to that, cortisol availability also plays a role in terms of the quantity of melatonin one would opt to use, and as in which there is situations where there's a little free available cortisol, which could be induced by post-viral fatigue, metabolic resistance, but just to say a few. In these instances, high-dose melatonin might be somewhat contraindicated due to the impact that melatonin has in reducing cortisol load within the brain, which is not all a bad thing, it definitely has its benefits. However, in this particular scenario with adrenal insufficiency, one may want to rather opt for a lower concentration of melatonin dosing. For me, Justin Maguire, I hope this information was useful. And if you like what I had to say, please click on like and share below. And I'm looking forward to speaking to you all again soon on topics such as melatonin and many others to come. Until we meet again next time, remember, stay optimized.